The Miami Tamperers?
Yeah, the Miami professional football team that is a source of many headaches and great consternation in South Florida.
Yeah. Okay. So, listen, the Dolphins have tried every which way to screw everything up. The owner has basically shown himself to be a travesty. He's a disaster. And, it really, it's one of those things that really, just kind of means it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough for the Dolphins to overcome this just garbage owner that can't figure out what the hell he's doing. And we're losing draft picks and getting fined now because he's such a moron. So, I just want to open with that, we're limited, your teams are limited by your owner and our owner is one of the worst. Doesn't seem to have a clue what's going on. But, my overall prediction for the Dolphins, I've kind of gone back and forth, revised it a couple times. My initial thought process when, they traded for Tyreek Hill and they did all this stuff, like the Dolphins are pushing all their chips into the middle for this season. They're all in. I'm like, they're going to make the playoffs, even if they barely make it because they have to, right? That was my whole argument. But the schedule and the numbers and the data do not back that up. Based on how difficult the AFC is, how difficult the Dolphins schedule is, it's going to be real. I feel like it's going to be a stretch. So I feel like they're going to win about 8 or 9 games. I think 9 games at maximum. I don't know that they can get to 10. And I think, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to have a solid year. I think people are going to, all the Tua supporters, which I found out, recently, there's a whole lot of them. I think they're going to, yell and scream about how great Tua is this year, but
right.
I think it'll be a lot of smoke and mirrors.
I'm looking through their schedule right now, and there's 1, 2, 3. Let's see. I'm trying to find 4, 5, 6. 7. All right. 9 wins feels like an accomplishment.
Yeah.
With that schedule, and here's the other thing that a lot of Dolphins fans, you need to remember this. Okay, I understand that the Dolphins beat the Patriots twice last year, and they beat the Jets twice last year. That doesn't mean it's going to happen the next year. Okay. Right. These are division rivals. They played the Jets. Both games against the Jets were close. Both games against the Patriots were close. Okay? And Tua threw a terrible interception in the first game against the Patriots last year. And if the Patriots running back didn't fumble the ball, the Patriots probably win the game. So you can't just count those as four wins right there. Okay?
Yeah. Now, and the second game they won against the Patriots, I think Tua threw for 100 yards.
Yeah. 100 yards passing, yeah. And then the other thing you got to remember is, now granted, I'm saying that the one way where you can't guarantee that we're going to win the same kind of games we won last year, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to lose the same kind of games this year that we lost last year. So there may be some games where the Dolphins win where you go, wow, I'm kind of surprised that, could they beat Baltimore or the Bengals? Possibly. And the Bills, again, I'm picking the Bills to go to the Super Bowl, but the Bills don't necessarily play their best every single week. Is it possible the Dolphins could maybe beat the Bills one of those 2 times? Maybe, because again, it's the NFL, and in any given Sunday, anything can happen. So there's variability. But I just think if you even everything out, it still seems to me like an 8 or 9 win team because I just don't see anything really elite about their team.
Right. Yeah. No, I would tend to agree with you. And honestly, so I was, thinking about this the other day. So they play New England at home, then they play at Baltimore, they play Buffalo at home, and then they play at Cincinnati. If they lose this first game to the Patriots, we could be looking at 0-4.
Yeah.
This could go badly in a hurry. Now, it could also go well in a hurry, right? But I think so there's part of me that, I definitely think the Dolphins are a better team than the Patriots and they should win more games. But part of me just thinks the Patriots have heard the whole offseason how everybody says they stink. What are you doing with your defensive coaches calling offensive plays? The Patriot beat reporters are just like, what is going on? This is terrible. So it just makes perfect sense to me. The Patriots would come out in the first game and stick the middle finger to everybody and beat the Dolphins.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be. I can almost see how that goes, because if you remember last year, the first game against the Patriots, and this was a kind of a hallmark of Tua last year. First drive of the game, he comes out, drives right down the field, and either gets in that game he drove right down the field and scored a touchdown. Right, and he did that. He did that several times last year, or he would at least get some points. Now, if the first drive of the game he didn't get anything, then you knew the Dolphins were in trouble. Okay, but I can almost just see it, like him driving right down the field, like he throws a touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill or something, and everybody's kind of celebrating, right? And then the game just stays close because Tua doesn't get down the field that much more after that. So,
right.
I could see that happening. I could see a scenario where the Dolphins lose to like the Bears or the Lions. I mean, I could see a scenario where they maybe beat the 49ers by the same token. I could see them being in a close game with the Texans. Like, I'm looking at their schedule right now. It's like, I could see different things happening because they're not an elite team. They don't have anything really truly elite. They have some talent, but I just don't know,
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. Like, yes, the Dolphins have some, they have a lot of nice things going on, and they've really improved their team, and hopefully the offense will be a little bit better. But there's a few things that this team hinges on, that if it falls apart, this whole thing could fall apart. Right? Their offensive line, to me, that's the key to their whole team. If the offensive line we have a decent offensive line this year, then they have a chance. But if anything happens, if Teron Armstead gets hurt as the left tackle, and he's been getting injured the past 2 or 3 years, if anything happens to him, this could be bad. Like, this could turn from, oh wow, we're a team right in the middle, to we're terrible.
Yeah.
And if the thing is, if this happens in the middle of the season, it starts to go bad. Our last 6 games are at San Francisco, at the Los Angeles Chargers, at Buffalo in December, the Green Bay Packers at home, at New England on January 1st, and then we have the Jets at home. If it goes bad in the middle of the season, this thing could completely fall apart. So, I am hopeful, but I am very cautious about, what's going to happen with this. Because like I said, this whole thing could fall apart quickly.
When is Deshaun Watson back?
He's out 11 games. So I don't think we're going to play 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we're not going to. Deshaun won't be in the game when Cleveland plays Miami.
Okay, all right. Well, then I think they may have a shot against the Browns.
Yeah.
If Myles Garrett doesn't, grab Tua and throw him out of the stadium. And then
right. If he doesn't grab offensive linemen and just beat Tua to death with them, we might be in trouble. But listen, and we've talked about this. Like, listen, to all the Dolphin fans, yeah, you could say we're Tua haters all you want. Listen, the truth about Tua is this, okay? He's not unbelievable like all the Tua lovers want to tell you, and he's not terrible like all of these people who think, oh, he can't play. No, he's just not going to be elite, and he never will be. He's going to be in the middle. Like this year, if he's just a left-handed Jimmy Garoppolo, that's all we need. That's all he needs to be this year. That's what I think he is, but that's all he really needs to be. So, and I also think that this idea that the Dolphins are going to tear it up and throw the ball all over the field now, I think that's complete garbage. San Francisco's offense is successful because they run the ball from multiple formations, multiple sets. They put all kinds of guys in motion, and they fool people by running the ball creatively like they do. So I think that's what they're going to do.
I think there will be a few times throughout the season where they try to get the ball down the field purely because they have Tyreek Hill. And so I do think that there'll be times during the season where the Dolphins offense will be kind of fun. Depending on who they're playing against. But I just, in terms of it being consistently that way, I don't really buy that because for it to be consistent like that, Tua would have to be really good, and I just don't think he's really good. So.
Yeah, and listen, we saw in the Tennessee game last year what happens when Tua has to play in bad weather. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
Not pretty. quarterback with small hands trying to throw the ball in cold weather. The quarterback from Hawaii, by the way. That'll be real interesting going to Buffalo and New England in December.
I think he should be wearing gloves in those games. Kenny Pickett wears gloves on both hands, apparently. So,
well, hey, if you want gloves, maybe Teddy Bridgewater will be starting some of these games. Teddy Two Gloves.
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins are going to be okay, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And honestly, I've said this before, the general manager needs to be fired. Like, I don't know how Chris Greer still manages to have a job. He must be doing something pretty special for Stephen Ross, because there's no excuse. Like, this guy, completely overrated. They put all their chips, they gave up 5 draft picks for Tyreek Hill, trying to make us think that they're going to be really good this year. Like, if this blows up, the GM has got to be fired. Like, there's no way around it.
Yeah, because 5 draft, I don't think Tyreek Hill is worth 5 draft picks.
Yeah, it's
2 or 3
insane.
maybe, but even that's pushing it because he's 28. So,
yep. All right. So before we get out of here, there was a big NBA trade